Hi guys, welcome to Don't Trust What You See.
I got facts over tracks, this and that, spitting slow, spitting fast, I could roast, I could gas, think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past.
Today we are going to be talking about schools all over the nation heading towards an insane one-sided view, other people coming out and trying to sue Governor DeSantis over him shipping illegal immigrants to Martha's Vineyard. We're also going to be talking about Biden's remarks on COVID and him saying COVID is over. And Texas law enforcement opens up investigation into DeSantis' stunt. This is according to MSNBC. The DOJ charging 47 with stealing $250 million from a pandemic food program for kids. 24 attorneys generals sign letter warning Visa to drop plans on tracking of gun sales. Hurricane Fiona that just hit Puerto Rico. And lastly, we're going to be talking about the arbiter in Trump's dock. So, like I said, schools all over the nation are heading towards this insane one-sided view, and in this segment, we're going to go over the most progressive, quote progressive, of the bunch. Now, we're going to be looking at this video number 1. Now, before we get into it, I just want to say that I do have my experience in which I will say afterwards, but it's just crazy how he articulates his speech. It's really, really good. So, let's begin.
Hi, my name is Brad Taylor, and I just finished my freshman year at RHS. I've been a part of District 196 schools now for 10 years, and I'm going to give you a glimpse today of what's actually going on inside these schools. Despite the board's attempt to deny it, District 196 schools are quickly becoming a place where promoting activism is actually more important than promoting education. I'll take you back to my first day at RHS this fall. The principal came out and gave us a heartfelt speech about equality and standing together. He began to list countless races, such as Latino, Asian, expressing how much they matter and how important they are. But never once did he mention a race or identity that reflects me, or half the kids that were in the class. Now, members of the board, I know you haven't been to school in a while, and I know none of you, or most of you, don't have any kids left in the school district. But you must admit how uncomfortable it will be to be characterized just by your skin color on the first day of school, and be thought that you were wrong just because of your skin color. So I will never forget the look one of my friends gave me from across the room as we were sitting there listening to this blatant bias being expressed in the so-called equity statement by the leader of our school. To be clear, I don't need you to tell me that I matter, but hearing the condolences given to other races and leaving just one race out, inevitably you'll start to feel like you've done something wrong.
And I completely agree with this. A lot of schools all over the nation, especially during the situation that you all know is happening, they come out and they're like, oh my God, this group of people and this group of people and this group of people, but then leave out another group of people. That's just racism, but on the opposite side. Anti-racism is racism, and that's it.
And in our principal's attempt to unify us, he instead created unwarranted boundaries and barriers between his students, pitting us against each other based on characteristics that we can't control. In another separate instance, I was told that writing "All Lives Matter" on the whiteboard was political and could be seen as offensive. When I questioned the teacher after class, she told me that she didn't have an answer and she just had to erase it, and it was quickly erased. There are political signs all over RHS, about specific races that matter, specific sexual orientations that matter, and specific perspectives that matter. But when I questioned the RHS administration about how these signs were political, they told me that they were supporting human rights. So when I questioned why the equity statement couldn't represent all students, they told me that to even ask that question was outlandish and offensive. And when I asked why that was, they told me, quote, whites have a pretty good situation right now, unquote.
So I think that the audience has the perfect response to that, because if I was any parent within that audience right now, I would be screaming, just like they are in this video. It's disappointing and disgusting that the principal of the school would say that. And everybody agrees. Nobody agrees with this ideology that they're pushing on these children, and they're pushing this ideology on these children because of the fact that they want to raise these children to vote a certain way, and it's not right.
So is that not racism? Disregarding my question merely because of the color of my skin. To be honest, after enduring a year of the people in charge telling me that I'm a racist and I'm privileged and pointing out our irreversible differences, I've never noticed race more. And it's becoming the first thing I notice when I meet someone, which has never before been the case. RHS administration confidently told me that RHS students and staff are happy with their equity statement. But from my experience in talking with other students, this is not the case. I know many kids who disagree with their teachers, but they're too scared to stand up because they're worried that their grades will be docked and their learning experience will be affected.
Not good. See, this is blatantly one-sided, and this is blatantly trying to push people towards a certain agenda. And obviously, this is manipulating a very, very, big generation of kids. I mean, Generation Z is a very, very huge group of kids. And that's the group of kids that are going to be voting the next time around. So in 18, I'm going to almost be, no, I'm actually ready to vote right now. So my whole entire life, they were getting me ready for this moment to vote a certain way. That should not be the case. And every single teacher that is pushing a certain agenda should get fired completely, immediately.
My honors government teacher, I'm not going to say his name, but he's mentioned that Democrats care more about all people while Republicans only care about themselves. And he's also inferred to us that socialism is better than democracy. He even had a statue. He had a statue of a socialist leader in his classroom. I've been told by a lot of kids that they just stay silent and adjust their schoolwork to reflect an acceptable opinion to secure a good grade. I've been approached by multiple teachers who have told me in private that they just want to say that they agree with me and they support me standing up, but they can't say it in front of the class for fear of being disciplined by the administration in some way or losing their jobs. There is clearly only one way to think in this district, and that is that they are teaching their kids to shut up if they don't agree. Now, members of the board, I want you to take a good look at yourselves in the mirror tonight and ask, are you really standing up for the equality of all people, or are you just pushing a damaging political ideology on our students? A fellow coworker at my job, who, by the way, is of color, discreetly told me that the schools seem to be pushing a very leftist agenda in class. This proved that not everyone is happy with your school, and not everyone who isn't happy is white.
Even though it does not even matter if they are white or black, every single opinion should matter, and it does matter. In the United States of America, we have our First Amendment right, but some schools choose not to agree or not to listen to certain opinions just because of the color of your skin, and that's blatant racism.
Due to all these instances I've mentioned and many more that I can't fit in this 5-minute speech, I've decided to leave this district and continue school on a private Christian school online. And there will be sacrifices, and I will not get to walk in the graduation ceremony or attend milestones at RHS, but I will be able to learn in an environment that is not intent on punishing me daily for my skin color and political views. Now, regardless how you take my speech, whether you just shrug it off as malarkey or Fox News talking points, I encourage you to think about it, because someday I'm going to be a leader. I may be the president, a governor, or just a professional golfer, but I will never stop believing that everybody has value, no matter their skin color or personal beliefs, and it's a shame that you're not going to be able to say that I was an alumni of RHS in District 196. Thank you.
You could tell that he is a really good speaker. He's going to do something great in life. I completely agree with every single thing that he said. And you know what? Looking back, because I just graduated out of school, this makes me rethink everything that I learned and saw when I was in school. And now looking back, there was many times that I felt as though the teacher or the school itself was pushing a view. This was an instance in my English class 1 year of high school where we watched Snow White, the original version, and we were told to analyze the segment of Snow White for racism, in which I did as any normal person would do, and I left a whole page full of questions blank and ignored the teacher for the rest of the class as I played an episode of Ben Shapiro on my phone with my AirPods on. I was not having it that day. And another time, I was walking down the hall, and there was a big flag saying BLM. Across from that was an LGBTQ quote progress flag. And now looking back, even farther back to middle school, I was called to the vice principal's office for something stupid I did, in which isn't important, but on the wall was women in bathing suits and bras. Another time, in the beginning of the year, I was told by the principal himself to, quote, put the mask on the right way and listen to the teacher, or there will be punishments involved, which led to me not doing that, and it prompted a teacher to try to embarrass me and other students in front of the whole entire grade. at that very same assembly. If we can take anything from the story that he said and the public schools itself, we will see that it is a waste of time and a shame that they try to push their radical beliefs while leaving room for no other opinions. So, saying that, we should look at other school districts in the area. We should look at other instances that there might be bias, and there is complete bias. Moving on to the next story, it's saying the exact same thing. This is going back to 2014, where a professor says that if Republicans got their way, colleges will be shut down. I do not know which Republican is pushing this opinion, and it is most likely not true at all. But going right into this, it says Moonbat professor says Republicans are evil, implies the GOP will bring back slavery. On Tuesday, this is April 22, 2014, Campus Reform posted audio of Bryant Terry, a professor at Eastern Connecticut State University, smearing Republicans in his classroom, castigating them as evil, and falsely implying that they would bring back slavery. They are also, in his warped point of view, greedy racists who want to suppress the vote of anyone who might vote liberal. It's all a pack of lies, but he's a liberal and therefore unable to tell the truth from fiction. So, this is his quote, and we will play it right after. Racist, misogynist, money-grabbing people have so much power over the rest of us and want to bring things back not to 1955, but to 1855. There are a lot of people out there that do not want black people to vote, don't want Latinos to vote, and do not want old people to vote or young people to vote, because genuinely, people like you are liberal. It's absolutely possible that Republicans will take over the Senate as well as the House, and we will live in a very, very, very different kind of country. And if that happens, colleges will start closing up if these people have their way. They don't think money should go to giving you people dangerous ideas about how the world should be run. This is exactly what the law professor said.
Racist, misogynist, money-grubbing people have so much power over the rest of us and want things to go back, not to 1955, but to 1855. There are a lot of people out there that say that do not want black people to vote, do not want Latinos to vote, do not want old people to vote, or young people to vote. Because generally, people like you are liberal. You want equality, you want racial equality, you want financial equality, you want to be able to use your education and go out in the world and make it better, but you'd also like to be able to get a job. All these things point toward being liberal. Because this election, if it's absolutely possible that the Republicans will take over the Senate as well as the House. And we will live in a very, very, very different kind of country if that happens. Colleges will start closing up if these people have their way. I don't think money should go to giving you people dangerous ideas about how the world should be.
So, if that doesn't tell you right there that this is a very, very sick world that we're living in, and a very, very twisted world of ideas that people think that they can just push their ideals and push their opinions on other people, even though they just want a regular education. People that are going to college don't want to be transformed into a liberal, super Democrat, LGBTQ ally type person. They just want to have an education because they just want to get a job, and they just want to get a job because they just want a career. They just want a career so they can just have a life, and they just want to have a life so they can feel success. Now, these people are going to college because they have a reason. Now, what's the reason why you're pushing these dangerous, radical ideals onto people that did not sign up for this? There's absolutely no reason at all, and therefore, every single person should research the college before attending and choose wisely which college you go to. Now, let's head into a dozen takes.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take I got no love.
So starting with the dozen takes, we have an article from theodysseyonline.com. And this is in their politics section. Yes, I hate Republicans, and no, I will not apologize. And they go on to say, trigger warning. If you are thin-skinned and right-winged, best avoid this article. That means you, Donald. Generalizations and ignorance will follow. There are two kinds of Republicans, the ignorant and the evil. Either they are uninformed and dumb, or aware of the world and other cultures other than their own, and just too corrupt or bigoted to care. It's just like being a Republican seems to now stand for religious nuts, rich, rednecks, and racists, according to the Odyssey. The current election cycle has only increased my deep-seated hatred for the right-wingers even more. And I can't help myself, but whenever I find out someone who I've been talking to or have been friends with is Republican, I let out an audible, "Ugh, really?" I can't hide my disgust. I do think differently of Republicans. And yes, I'm aware I sound ignorant, and I am generalizing, kind of like bigots do when they generalize people or races/genders/sexualities. Doesn't it upset you? How I am generalizing your entire group? Doesn't that get under your skin? Doesn't that bother you? Doesn't that make me sound ignorant? Now you know how the majority of Americans feel. Women, people of color, and anyone who is straight white person. What? Congratulations, you are on your first step to empathy. Something I realize that is very hard for you to feel. That's funny. Trump supporters say you lost, respect my opinion, but your opinion disregards someone else's existence. What? This doesn't even make any sense. Now, I'm going to keep reading this because this is like entertainment to me. This isn't, I don't think the movie Mean Girls was very funny. And that's a valid opinion. One I disagree with, but valid. But this opinion is, I don't think gays/people of color/women matter. Who the hell says this? Who the heck says this? Who says I don't think gays, people of color/women matter? Who said that woman does not matter? Who said people of color do not matter? Who said gays do not matter? Like, nobody's even saying this. I'm going to fight you on that. And I'm going to fight with passion because that is not an opinion. This is hate. But nobody's saying that. If you want to have an intelligent conversation about free trade, corruption of politics, tax plans, I hear you out. But I will not sit here and let you allow culture of hate to arise. While you may respect his tax plan, while you may respect healthcare, while you may respect the mere fact that he ran on the politician and the Republican, you still voted for a racist misogynist, but by voting for him, you passively endorsed racist. What? And I have to drop you people from my who support. Okay, and I will drop you people from my who support Donald Trump. That's not my punctuation error and grammar error. That's actually theirs. It shows who you are, where your values stand. It shows your true morals or lack of. The election divided this country because it showed our true colors, and that color is white. What? When it came down to matters of our money and entertainment versus matters of our empathy, you voted for the candidate with the catchiest slogan. You rather would have had a hat in a reality star for president than a competent woman. So you think Hillary Clinton is a competent woman? With her emails that she locked up inside of her server, not even locked behind a key. Not even like you needed a password to see these documents, just out in the open in a public server. You think that's competent? Like when she killed our active military soldiers in war because she could not hold this classified information on her public server without it being known to the enemy we were fighting, that's competent to you? Then I want to see what incompetence is. Is that Joe Biden? Moving on. You voted for someone you watch on TV and read about. We all ate up the articles, the clips, the jokes, the memes about Trump. And by doing that, you, Trump supporters, passively endorsed heartlessness man. You are a passive bigot. You are a passive racist, and you are allowing it to happen. You, my white-winged friends, which I don't think she has any, are allowing the racist and misogynists, I guess, to come out of the shadows. You are following this culture of hatreds to come alive. You are the problem. You specifically might not be a bigot, but the bigots are on the same side as you. You are on the same side as the KKK. Okay, now we're jumping through some hoops here. Now we're jumping to conclusions at the rate of we're losing so many calories by jumping. We're losing like 50 pounds per second. Like, we're doing so much exercise over here. I don't think she ever did this much exercise and this much jumping than in her life. The KKK endorses our president-elect. The KKK, my white-winged friends, tried to imagine you were not born with a silver spoon in your mouth. Imagine every day you were demonized based on the color of your skin. Imagine you are stopped by police twice as often. My God. Imagine how likely you are to be wrongly shot at one of those stops. And imagine for the man who murdered you will continue to walk free. Even worse, continue to abuse his power in the community. For 5 seconds, step out of your suburban, rural bubble and put yourself in someone else's shoes. If only 2 people of color voted, every state would have voted blue. That's terrifying. What? Yeah, because the thing is that this sentence makes no sense and it proves nothing at all because of the fact that this is obvious that people of color are manipulated to vote a certain way, obviously, and that is terrifying. So they are right. This is a terrifying infographic. Donald Trump would have never won a single electoral vote. Really? Read on the asterisk. It doesn't matter if they are men, women, educated, poor, rich. They always vote for the side that doesn't hate them. But the side that does hate them is the Democrats because it's destroying their families, one. It's endorsing single-parent households. It single-handedly made the percentage of people of color together from 73% to 20% now. That's the Democrats that are doing this. My left-wing friend, quote, "You're not my friend, and I will never call you a friend." That's why we're moving on to something better. I mean, I don't know if we could really get better because we're going to a CNN article, but anything's better than you making blatant lies about Republicans, and of course that's an opinion piece with absolutely no statistics at all. That infographic you just pulled out of your ass. Thank you. Let's move on. So, according to CNN, legal group files class action lawsuit on behalf of advocacy group and migrants flown to Martha's Vineyard. Oh my God. See, people are freaking out about this, but I don't know why. If you are a migrant looking to move from Venezuela, where there's an active war going on, wouldn't you want to get in a free, free coach flight to Martha's Vineyard, one of the most rich communities in the world. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Lawyers for Civil Rights, a nonprofit immigrant advocacy group that represents more than 30 of the nearly 50 migrants flown to Martha's Vineyard, filed a class action lawsuit on behalf of Alasana Americans and other migrants, according to a news release from the organization. 2 planes carrying nearly 50 migrants, mostly from Venezuela, arrived at Martha's Vineyard from Texas last Wednesday, right under agreements made by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. The move was part of a series of initiatives by Republican governors to transport migrants to liberal cities to protest what they have described as a failure of the federal government to secure the southern border. Now, here's the thing with this. Here's the thing with this sentence. It's not just because of that. These cities or in states are making fun of the Florida, Texas, and other border states because of the fact that they cannot support these migrants. They cannot support these illegal immigrants, and they're complaining about it to the federal government, aka Joe Biden. Joe Biden and the rest of the gang in the White House is blatantly ignoring this. That's a fact. And they refuse to visit the border. Camel toe hairy ass, Kamala Harris, was instructed to visit the border, and she still has not. This is the thing. They are not just doing this for attention from the federal government. They're also doing this because of these states said that, okay, well, if you're not going to take the immigrants, we will. And they consider themselves sanctuary states. Once you consider yourself a sanctuary state, that means that you can have migrants come to your state because you just said that you want open borders. Let's ship them to your state then. Like, if you don't want it, then don't say and talk poo-poo about other states and cities for doing the same exact thing. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Moving on. These male politicians are pushing for women to receive abortions to be punished with prison time. Now, I can see this is actually a based article from CNN, because it actually makes some cognitive sense. Now, a businessman turned state representative from rural Oil City, Louisiana, and a Baptist pastor banded together earlier this year on a radical mission. Now, who do you think is going to support this bill the most? Who do you think is going to actually push this bill the most? Wouldn't you think that a Baptist pastor is going to push the idea that we should have people not killed? Obviously, they're going to want to push that. Duh. They were adamant that a woman who receives an abortion should receive the same criminal consequences as one who drowns their baby, and that's the exact same thing. If you kill your baby, you're killing your baby. It does not matter where it is on earth, you're killing your baby. Under a bill, they promoted pregnant people could face murder charges even if they were raped, or doctors determined the procedure was needed to save their own life. Doctors who attempted to help patients conceive through fertilization, a fertile treatment used by millions of Americans, could also be locked up for destroying embryos. And certain contraception, such as Plan B, would be banned. The taking of life is murder, and it is illegal. State Rep. Danny McCrock told a committee of state lawmakers who considered the bill in May, right after the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade was leaked. No compromising, no more waiting. Brian Gunter, the pastor who suggested McCormick be the one to introduce the legislation, told the committee. Only 4 people spoke out against the bill during the committee meeting, all women. They pleaded with the lawmakers to grasp the gravity of the proposed restrictions, who went farther than any state abortion law currently on the books, and warned of unintended consequences. We need to take a deep breath, said Melissa Floney, a former state representative who runs the progressive advocacy group 10,000 Women Louisiana. She said the bill would only push women that wasn't, and that they were not, and there was not enough responsibility being placed on men. But the responsibility is on both of them. Now, this is the thing now. If you do not want to have a baby, don't have sex. How about you find a different place to put it, if you know what I mean? If you do not want a baby, don't have sex in the way that it makes a baby. The point of sex is to have a baby, not to make you feel good. That's just that. Moving on. So, DeSantis defends transport of migrants to Martha's Vineyard. Now, this is a video, so let's react to it. Of course, this is on CNN, so let's see what CNN says about this.
Let's just take a moment to listen to Governor DeSantis and then a few facts on the other side.
Ew, okay, look how they're all staring.
signed.
Look how they're all staring at the camera. Like, it's super weird. More facts. We're going to listen to his opinions, and then we're going to look at the facts. Like, okay, the person on the left literally looks like she just sniffed like some producer's butt, and it's very stinky. The one in the middle just looks like he just wants cheese. And the one on the right's just like, why am I even on CNN?
They all signed consent forms to go, and then the vendor that is doing this for Florida provided them with a packet that had a map of Martha's Vineyard. It had the numbers for different services on Martha's Vineyard. So it was clearly voluntary, and all the other nonsense you're hearing is just not true. And why wouldn't they want to go, given where they were?
So, Alana, just a few facts that are being alleged by the attorneys for some of these migrants, including the fact that they say that their clients were misled by being told that there would be cash, housing, work opportunities, travel assistance on the other side when they arrived there.
Yeah, because of the fact that these states and these cities, Martha's Vineyard being a city, obviously, said that they were a sanctuary city. Massachusetts as a whole said that we're a sanctuary state. So why wouldn't they give them houses? If you're going to give sanctuary to someone, you give them houses, you give them money, you give them transportation, you give them all of this. He was under the assumption that these states would follow through with exactly what they promised. But of course, the states lied, and they just don't even care that they look like the biggest hypocrites ever. They don't even care at all. Now, moving on to the next thing right here. Biden's remarks that COVID is quote, over seem to defy reality. Oh my God. So now we have MSNBC over here destroying Biden. Okay. So I never thought I was going to see the day. So I'm getting very, very excited for this article. So the quote president claimed in a 60 Minutes interview that COVID is quote over, but hundreds of daily deaths and thousands of hospitalizations say otherwise. In an interview that aired Sunday on CBS News 60 Minutes, President Joe Biden declared that the COVID-19 pandemic is, quote, over. It was a surprise to some of his own health officials, according to the Washington Post. Yeah, because of the thing of he still has COVID guidance. He has COVID instructors. He has this whole entire COVID organization task force. So all of them are like, oh my God, I'm not going to have a job if there's no more COVID. So of course they're going to say, no, we still have COVID. We still have COVID. How dare you? This is a quote. We still have a problem with COVID, Biden said in an interview, which aired Sunday night. We still have a lot to do. We still have a lot to work on, but the pandemic is over. Which makes no sense because isn't COVID-19 the pandemic? Whatever. All of the people Biden and his administration should know that the lack of masks don't indicate a lack of risk. See, to me, this is all I'm going to say about this. This is all I'm going to say because this is a big article for no reason at all. COVID was over in March 2020. That's all I'm saying, so I don't get banned. Next article. Texas law enforcement opens investigation into DeSantis' stunt. Of course, MSNBC is talking about it now. So, in the Martha's Vineyard controversy, Ron DeSantis doesn't appear to care about questions of coincidence, conscience, or property. But he ought to care about the law. At face value, Ron DeSantis' scheme is a moral and political outrage. How is that a moral outrage? If somebody just went and illegally went into the border, then how is that an outrage? The Florida Republican and his team stand accused of using false promises to lure desperate migrants into airplanes in Texas and then dumping them on a small New England island, ill-equipped for their announced arrival. All of this appears to have been done as a part of a explosive. All of this appears to have been done as a part of a stunt designed to bolster as a far designed to bolster a far-right governor's political prospects. By all appearances, DeSantis simply doesn't care about the questions of conscience, or property. That's certainly his choice. But why the Floridian might want to take more seriously are questions whether his scheme was legal, NBC News reported. By all appearances, the investigation in its early stages. By all appearances, the investigation is in its early stages, but the Bexar County Sheriff added that he believes that the migrants in question may have been lured under false pretenses by DeSantis representatives. There's a growing body of evidence to suggest that these concerns are well-rounded. Many of these migrants have told the same story, with the same details about a woman who they have identified as Parla, who helped lower them onto the airplanes with brazen lies about their destination. There's a growing body of evidence to suggest that those concerns are well-rounded. Many of these migrants have told the same story with the same details about a woman who identified as Parla, who helped lower them onto the airplanes with brazen lies about their destination and the benefits that awaited them upon arrival. What's more, a separate NBC News report added yesterday that the migrants were given a brochure about housing cash advantage and jobs for refugees, but the brochure was widely misleading and, according to lawyers for civil rights, potentially criminal. But these immigrants are not... Oh my God. These immigrants do not have civil rights. They don't have civil rights. They're not United States citizens. They don't have rights under the United States. The only reason why there's even a question about them having rights is because they're coming from Venezuela. Venezuela, if you step 1 foot into American soil, then you have some sort of rights. But you do not have the same rights as a certified American. Like, it's not the same thing. Oh my God, it's just annoying. Moving on. This is NPR. We're really not getting better, but it's okay. Migrants flown to Martha's Vineyard have filed a lawsuit against Governor DeSantis. Now, I just like to see everyone's take and everybody's story on the same exact matter. So, a civil rights law firm filed a federal case, yada, 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 yada. Yada, 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 yada. Okay. Attorneys want DeSantis and his fellow defendants to be banned from introducing immigrants to travel across state lines by fraud and misrepresentation, as well as damages for the harm suffered by the migrants. What harm was suffered to the migrants? They got to fly for free on coach and an A-seed plane to one of the richest areas in the world. I would love to do that. I would love to do that right now. But, of course, we can't. So, we can't do that for free. I had to pay when I went, but whatever. We're moving on. This is just the same story anyway. So, according to NPR, DOJ charges 47 with stealing $250 million from a pandemic food program for DOJ charges 47 with stealing $250 million from a pandemic food program for kids. Why? The Justice Department has unveiled criminal charges against 47 defendants who allegedly cheated the system out of $250 million that was supposed to be used to feed needy kids. And the Justice Department has unveiled criminal charges against 47 defendants who allegedly cheated the government out of $250 million that was supposed to be used to feed needy kids in Minnesota during COVID-19 pandemic. The DOJ said incitements allege that the largest pandemic relief fraud scheme charged to date. The incitements announced Tuesday involve 6 groups, all connected to the group Feeding Our Future, a Minnesota nonprofit. The defendants are charged with federal crimes, including conspiracy, wire fraud, money laundering, and paying and receiving illegal kickbacks. Over a short period of time, these 47 defendants engaged in a brazen scheme of scattering strategic proportions, a United States Attorney Andrew Loyer said during a news briefing. The DOJ condemns the defendant Amory Block of Apple Valley, Minnesota, was the mastermind behind the plot. Block is the founder of the executive director of Feeding Our Future, which actually did serve federally funded meals to underserved kids in the Twin Cities prior to the pandemic. According to the DOJ, Block recruited other individuals to create fake sites and falsely claimed that they were feeding needy children under her group's sponsorship. Records show that Feeding Our Future went from receiving and distributing approximately $3.4 million in federal funds in 2018, nearly $200 million in 2021. The defendants used the proceeds of their fraudulent scheme, according to the DOJ, to purchase luxury vehicles, to fund international travel, and to buy residential and commercial real estate in Minnesota, Ohio, and Kentucky, and in Qatar and Turkey. That's not right. So the NPR really doesn't dig more into that story as a whole, but that's really, really interesting that you can just go steal $250 million from the government and they just say, okay, well, 2 years later, we're going to do an investigation now. Like what? Well, now we're going to get into some real news. Fox News. DeSantis' office hits back after class action suit from migrants, reveals consent form they allegedly signed. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis said migrants of Martha's Vineyard from Texas last week as part of his pledge to drop off illegal immigrants in liberal states. The office of Florida Governor Ron DeSantis on Tuesday slammed a class action lawsuit filed against them, blah, blah, blah. The lawsuit filed in the District of Massachusetts alleges that DeSantis and others designed and executed a permitted, fraudulent, and illegal scheme centered on exploiting the vulnerability for the sole purpose of advancing their own personal, financial, and political interests. In a statement provided to Fox News, Governor Ron DeSantis' spokesperson, Taryn Finseek, slammed the class action lawsuit as political theater and perpetrated by optimistic activists at the expense of illegal immigrants. If these activists spent even a fraction of the time and effort at the border, perhaps some accountability would have been brought to the Biden administration's reckless border policies that entice illegal immigrants to make dangerous and often lethal journeys through Central America and put their lives on the hands of cartels and coyotes. Finsky provided Fox News with a copy of a consent form available in English and Spanish that she said was given to migrants before they boarded. So let's see here. Let's see this consent form. The form reads, I agree to hold the benefactor or its designed representatives harmless of all liability arising out of or in any way relating to any injuries and damages that may occur during the agreed transport to locations outside of Texas until the final destination in Massachusetts. The class action lawsuit alleges that the migrants were told that they were going to Boston or Washington. Washington is not in Massachusetts, but Boston is, which was completely false, and was inducted with such perks as $10 McDonald's gift card certificates. So you're telling me that these migrants are going to come into the United States, move all the way to Boston just for a $10 McDonald's gift certificate? What? No human being should be used as a political pawn, said this name I cannot pronounce. Executive Director of Lawyers for Civil Rights, which is seeking class action status in the lawsuit filed on behalf of several migrants who were aboard last week's flight and Eliza Airlines Americas, a network of advocacy groups. The lawsuit alleges that the migrants were inducted to cross state lines under false pretenses, a line that some Democratic officials are using to urge a federal investigation. So this is my take on the thing. If you go into any other country illegally, are you going to be accepted? Are you going to be flown to one of the best areas in that very country that you just broke into? No, you're not. So I just don't understand why people are complaining about this, because this will not happen anywhere else on earth. So moving on. Texas sheriff investigating DeSantis says Americans should embrace migrant surge and give them jobs. The sheriff opened an investigation into migrant flights to Martha's Vineyard organized by Ron DeSantis. And this is actually the thing right here. So we're going to just listen to it, and then we're going to cut it off as soon as it starts talking about the news itself, because I'm very good. So later on in the article, so I guess we can't see that because it's not working. Okay, it's working all of a sudden. Okay, let's react to what this person said right now.
Into Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' migrant flight operation to Martha's Vineyard.
Opening up a case with an investigation with regard to the suspected activities involving the 48 migrants from Venezuela. As we understand it, 48 migrants were lured, I will use the word lured, under false pretenses.
It all comes as New York City Mayor Eric
Okay,
Adams
so we're
is
going to
considering
actually
taking legal action of his.
Okay, so this doesn't make any sense. So they said that false pretenses. Okay, listen, if the state did what they wanted, that they said that they were going to do, then there would be no question asked. These are all of the immigrants coming into the southern border now. And you're complaining about 50 in Martha's Vineyard? Migrant encounters at the southern border has reached record levels, with over 2 million so far this fiscal year, including 203,598 encounters just last month. And you're complaining over 50. And you think that just because you can't handle it, these states can handle it, these cities can handle it? No, they can't. They're the same exact situation as you, but you don't want to notice the facts because they're not convenient facts to you. So, moving on, a article from Breitbart now. Ron DeSantis admin hits back against class action lawsuit filed by Martha's Vineyard migrants. So, let's read this. Okay, so the office of Ron DeSantis reported a lawsuit on Tuesday saying that migrants made a voluntary journey to Martha's Vineyard and that they were well cared for. Frensky even provided a copy of the consent form for the migrants who were asked to sign before boarding the plane. The form said in both English and Spanish. We already read it. So, immediately after the migrants arrived in Martha's Vineyard, Democrats began pushing the absurd talking points that DeSantis, quote, kidnapped the migrants in order to use them as political pawns. That reminds me. If you transport anyone, how is that kidnapping? If I transport my sister from school to home, is that kidnapping her? No, it's not. And everybody knows it's not. It's just stupid. People like to make excuses for something that it's been the exact same way for years. So, moving on to another Breitbart article. So, 24 attorneys generals signed letter warning Visa to drop plans for tracking gun sales. Now, if you don't now remember, a couple weeks ago, I actually talked about the fact that Visa and MasterCard is going to start categorizing purchases of guns at a different transaction rate and a whole different category than everything else. That's because they want to track the purchase. Now, if they track the purchase, they can stop you if they know that who you are, whatever. That's exactly why they want to track you. Moving on. Now we have an article from the Daily Wire. Governor Lee calls for investigation of Vanderbilt's pediatric transgender clinic following Matt Welch's revelation. So, Tennessee Republican Governor Bill Lee has called for an investigation of the pediatric transgender clinic at Vanderbilt University University Medical Center after shocking videos posted by Matt Walsh detailed a doctor's promotion of big money maker transgender surgeries. The videos obtained by Walsh also show apparent threats made against medical professionals at VUMC if they objected to these procedures, even for religious reasons. The transgender clinic at Vanderbilt University Medical Center raises serious moral and ethical legal concerns. Lee said in a statement to the Daily Wire, "We should not allow permanent life-altering decisions to hurt children or policies that suppresses religious liberties, all for the purpose of financial gain. We have to protect Tennessee children, and this warrants a thorough investigation." Okay, so if you do not know already, we're going to actually break this down for you. So, breaking. My team and I have been investigating the transgender clinic at Vanderbilt here in Nashville. Vanderbilt drugs, chemically castrates, and performs double mastectomies for minors. But it gets worse. Here's what we found. Let's start at the beginning. Vanderbilt opened its trans clinic in 2018 during a lecture the same year. Dr. Shane Taylor explained how she convinced Nashville to get into the gender transmission game. She emphasized that it's a, quote, big money maker, especially because the surgeries require a lot of, quote, follow-ups. At another medicine grand rounds lecture, staffers were warned by Vanderbilt health law officials. Okay, so we're actually going to be watching the story. We're actually going to be watching the video of it happen right now. So this actually has 1.5 million views on Twitter. This is posted obviously by Matt Walsh. So let's get right into it right now.
January 1st of 2017, according to the Affordable Care Act, insurance carriers are mandated to cover medical expenses for trans folks. Some of our VUMC financial folks in October of 2016, starting a couple years ago, put down some costs of how much money we think each patient would bring in. And this is only including top surgery. This isn't including any bottom surgery. And it's a lot of money. These surgeries make a lot of money. So female to male chest reconstruction can bring in $40,000. A patient just on routine hormone treatment, who I'm only seeing a few times a year, can bring in several $1,000s. That requires a lot of visits and labs. It actually makes money for the hospital. Now, these I got from the internet, but it's from the Philadelphia Center for Transgender Surgery, which has...
So here's the thing, though. Here's the thing exactly with that. It's so expensive for you guys because you need to have them go and keep coming back to you over and over and over and over and over and over again until they die. They never stop coming to you guys because they need to keep getting the estrogen. They need to keep getting the testosterone that makes them something that they are not. They need to keep doing it until they die. Now, he exposed everything because he also revealed this. Vanderbilt was apparently concerned that not a lot of its staff would be on board. So they warned that the problematic ones will face consequences. Let's listen to it here.
That is problematic. You are doing something to another person, and you are not paying for the cost for your belief. I think that is a real, I think that's a real issue. So I think, so yes, Vanderbilt, if someone has a conscientious objection,
I just don't get. I don't get this. Shut this off. I just don't get it because now they're forcing people that don't want to be a part of this. They're forcing them to actually be a part of this, and then on top of that, you're forced because of this video.
My name is Sean Riley, and I'm the program coordinator for Trans Buddy at the Program for LGBTQ Health at Vanderbilt University.
Okay, so if you are wondering where this actually was, this was on their public YouTube channel. So if they did not want anybody seeing this, why would they post this on their YouTube channel? It just doesn't make any sense. They wanted this to be public until it was found. Then they want to cover it up. So what is this? What is a trans buddy? A trans buddy is actually this person or this other lesbian that follows any trans person around and makes sure that this the transgender is respected, quote, respected, and that the doctors use, quote, their preferred pronouns. So if they don't, then there's going to be consequences. So this person goes around and just makes sure that the doctor is actually following all the rules, kind of like a big brother. So it's disgusting.
TransBuddy provides trained peer advocates for transgender patients who are coming for doctor's appointments or other healthcare-related services. Whether you're looking for something that's related to medical transition, such as hormone therapy, or something completely unrelated, like breaking an arm or going to an ENT, we are here to help support any transgender patients that come through our doors.
So that's just stupid. So basically, if you want to be called a certain thing, they will make sure that the doctor calls you that, and if they don't, they're going to get in trouble. Next video. So Vanderbilt makes their trans buddies available to children too. They make lots of services available to children, including chemical castration through at some point in last month. They removed explicit admission of the fact on their state, but here's the archive statement. Gender affirming hormone therapy and pubertal blocking. So, but they must have forgot to delete this video from Vanderbilt Psychology's YouTube channel back in 2020, which admits explicitly that they will give and have given irreversible hormone drugs to children as young as 13. So, they say this on their website under, quote, gender-affirming hormones. Previously recommended to start at the age of 16, but consider starting as early as 14 years old. Continued pubertal blockers and fertility preservation and constant prior to. I just got distracted because I looked at the picture. This is disgusting. I just realized what this is. These are all the transgenders that were castrated and made into something that they're not. All of these people were guys before. All these people were girls. Now they're guys. Like, what? I just don't get it. Let's listen to this video. Let's listen.
We can gender-affirming hormones on an individual who is on a pubertal blocker, depending on whatever kind of blocker they've chosen or we have discussed with them, or they can present to us at a later stage of puberty, and then we provide the gender-affirming hormones. Previously, the Endocrine Society recommended to start these at age 16, but we all know that would be delayed puberty, right? Not 16-year-olds don't start puberty. So more recently, they did update that to say as early as 14 for compelling reasons. So we have some individuals who have started gender-affirming hormones at 13 or 14 to be more like their peers. Again, fertility preservation and consent are very important to discuss prior to any initiation.
So just because they have consent, they think that this is right. It's not right just because you have consent. What if the parents in the situation think the same thing as the guys or the kids in this case? It just does not make any sense. The consent does not matter.
A lot of times it's for insurance purposes, but again, insurances kind of follow suit with the WPATH guidelines for the most part. So for any kind of top surgery, we do require one letter of persistent, well-documented gender dysphoria by a licensed mental health provider. We ensure that the patient is capable of making fully informed decisions on their own. They're the age of majority. However, for a lot of our younger patients, again, if they are 16, 17, here at Vanderbilt, if they have been on testosterone, have a parental consent, we're able to do a lot of the top surgeries for those patients.
That's disgusting. So you're going to castrate, and then you're going to change these people and make them go through irreversible changes through their body. For why? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? They don't even know. So, Senator Tim Scott, so following on the same exact story, Senator Tim Scott introducing bill to ban schools from keeping a child's gender transition a secret from their parents. Now, if this is like, what the hell's going on with the society? Yes, I agree. What the hell's going on with the society? Like, what is going on with the society? Schools think that they have the right to not tell parents what their kids are going through at school. No, you don't. We don't trust you, teachers. We don't trust you because you're trying to trans our kids. You're trying to make them gay. You're trying to make them bisexual. You're trying to make them all these things. Leave them alone. Keep sex out of the classrooms. That's it. This is exactly what the bill in Florida was actually saying, but they're saying that don't say gay, bill. No, don't say gay. Don't say transgender. Don't say any gross sex-related thing in schools from teachers to students. That's it. But moving on to a more horrible story, we're going to Puerto Rico, where Puerto Rico actually faces Fiona. Fiona swipes Turks and Carissos, Puerto Rico facing big cleanup. So if you do not know already, this is from the AP, but a hurricane just went through Puerto Rico and broke up a lot of its inner cities, and there's a lot of devastation going on. If you can see this top-down view, you can see all the flooding that happened within Puerto Rico. You can see all the flooding that happened within all of these different cities. And it's sad. All of these cities are now flooded. A lot of these things are just wrecked. And it's so bad. So many people are without a home. So my condolences goes out to every single person that died. And every single person that lost their home during this sad, sad time. Moving on to the next AP News article, which is Arbiter in Trump's dock probes signals intent to move quickly. Now, obviously, he's going to want to move quickly because it's actually midterms. If it's midterms, they're going to want to go. Let's get this out of the way before midterms come up, obviously. But other than that, let's get into the next segment, which is the drama section.
I'm like an addict, do I gotta have it. I ain't even playing, got a really bad habit. If it moves, gotta grab it. Fuse like a magnet, lose, won't have it till I'm doomed in a casket.
Okay, so this drama section I was waiting for a little while now. So we're actually talking about Adam Levine. So if you do not know who Adam Levine is the top singer for Maroon 5. Now, Adam Levine is actually dating a Victoria's Secret model. She's really, really pretty, and he's very, very lucky to have her, which he accepts because he had two daughters with this Victoria's Secret model. Now, once he has 2 kids with this Victoria's Secret model, he decides that he wants another one. So he waits till she is pregnant and then goes and talks to an OnlyFans model / Instagram model and cheats on his wife. Yes, it's disgusting. Now, the song Beautiful Mistakes is literally this situation because the girl that he cheated on his wife with is pretty, but his wife is obviously more pretty than the person that's on OnlyFans. Disgusting. So, this is what he says. I take full responsibility. So, he says, in certain instances, it became inappropriate. I've addressed that in taking proactive steps to remedy this with my family. Really? So you remedied this with your family? How about you remedy this with your wife? How about you remedy this with your 2 daughters? You cheated on your 2 daughters too. It's crazy. Why would you ever do this? Adam Levine also is not the brightest guy, because he's wearing a girl's dress. It's just disgusting. Adam Levine wears a dress to match his wife and 2 daughters. Now, this could be satire, but he also tweeted, "Girls just want to have fun. Are you a girl now? That's why I called you a woman." What is a woman, actually? Anyways, moving on to some screenshots. So, this is the person that he actually cheated on his wife with. Her name on TikTok goes under Summoner Sturo. And she has 402.95 thousand followers, 4.05 million likes, stuff like that, right? Okay, so if you look at this, from the time of 9/19 to 9/20, 2022, right? She deleted 12 videos. They say around 4 per day, but it doesn't really make much sense. That was 2 days. So she removed 6 videos per day because her old videos was actually her saying, "Oh, I heard you are with that blonde chick, but brunettes are better." Like, she's just putting all these little hints along the way. And she actually made a TikTok with Adam Levine's song "Beautiful Mistakes," and then she's twerking her butt to that song. So it's just disgusting, all of the things that unfolded during this time. But I mean, he's also not the brightest, because he also posted on Instagram actually 6 times of the same exact picture. Men should not be making laws about women's bodies, and posted that 6 times on Instagram. Now, if you look, I mean, this is very, very stupid, but if you look at who made abortion legal at the very first place, it was a guy. Okay, anyways, moving on. The video number 1. This is actually her right here. This is the controversy that she got herself into. This is the original TikTok here. Surprised she don't delete it. Let's see it.
Retaking this like 10 times now. Essentially, I was having an affair with a man who's married to a Victoria's Secret model. At the time, I was young, I was naive, and I mean, quite frankly, I feel exploited. You feel exploited. How about his wife? Does his wife feel exploited? Like, are you kidding me? You feel exploited? You're not the one that was exploited. You moved to LA. You should have known this was going to happen. I mean, not you should have known this was going to happen. You should have known that you were going to get other opportunities from other celebrities in the area, because they all live in LA. All these celebrities live in LA. You should have known that somebody within this big scheme of A-list celebrities and B-list celebrities would want to date somebody else that's on OnlyFans. Like, obviously, you're making your whole entire body known out there, and now you're in a convenient place for them. Like I am now, so I was definitely very easily manipulated. Maroon 5 is practically elevator music at this point, so I'm sure you know who Adam Levine is.
Okay, so Adam Levine, if you are watching the audio version of this podcast, I'm trying to pause it. Okay, so he tweeted at her and said, oh no. Okay, so I'm reading this to myself, but it said, "It is truly unreal how effing hot you are. Like, it blows my mind. I mean, I think the same. Seeing you in person, I was like, I'm effed. You are 50 times hotter in person, and so am I. Ha ha ha." Yeah, no, I didn't.
But
she's covering up the text.
Know who at this point, so I'm sure you know who Adam Levine is. But Adam and I were seeing each other for about a year. After I stopped talking to him over, a period of months, this is how he came back into my life. He said, "Okay, serious question. I'm having another baby, and if it's a boy, I really want to name it Sumner. You okay with that? Dead serious."
But why? But why would he text her that? Like, it just does not make much sense at all. Why he would actually text her that after he cheated on his wife with her. I just don't get people. And then there was a lot of controversy, obviously. This is Adam Levine you're talking about, so she made a part 2. Let's hear it now.
I just wanted to make a part 2. I feel like it's obviously necessary. Hindsight is 2020. I initially wanted to go in and talk about how remorseful I feel and how embarrassed and disgusted I am with myself, but I didn't want people to look at it and think like, oh, she's playing the victim.
But you did. You made it look like that. You actually made it look like you were playing the victim. Nobody's the victim here except for the wife and the 2 children that he has. Those are the victims, not you.
It had the opposite effect. Something I now realize I didn't touch on enough was the fact that one of my friends had attempted to sell it, which I realized yesterday whenever they reached out to me for comment. And so I was completely frantic. that is why that video is, for one, just so all over the place, and two, why I didn't touch on some of the things that I initially would have liked. So in this video...
Okay, so she had her friend with screenshots of the story, and the friend was going to send it to news outlets, and she wanted to be the one that actually breaks the story, not the news outlets. She was looking at this and saying, well, if I'm the first one to break the news story, everyone's going to be making their news stories by tagging my video. Yeah, that's how this works. So she said, oh, let me do that. And then she did that instead. So it's just stupid. Why would you ever... It's just a self-centered world. It really is.
To address some of those things. I only came forward because I wanted to kill whatever story the tabloid had.
But the tabloid was going to say the same exact thing was you. That was you. That was what you said. That's what I meant. The tabloid was going to come out and say the same exact thing that you said. Now, you can't hide the fact that they were going to say the same exact thing, but she wants to make you look like she was the good guy, which you're not.
Part that I did definitely gloss over is the fact that I was under the impression that their marriage was over. I believe that they were keeping it quiet to avoid the negative press because, as I had said, I was new to LA. So I just assumed that with celebrities of that caliber that that's just how it was. And that's why I feel exploited, because he knew I believed everything that he said because of my vulnerable position.
So what did you believe exactly? That they were divorced? I just don't understand. They had a public relationship. You full-heartedly knew what you were getting yourself into, so I have no sympathy for you. Who I have sympathy for is the wife and the 2 children. That's who I have sympathy for, not you. Moving on to the investment news.
I just wanna be greatness. I just wanna be greatness. I just wanna be greatness.
Okay, so getting into the first investment news article, we're going to actually go straight to the Western Journey. The Western Journal. Don't mind my dogs playing in the background, I'm sorry. So Tesla catches fire and takes over 25,000 gallons of water in 42 minutes of firefighters to extinguish. So this is actually a photo of exactly what happened in Stamford. And that's bad. That's really, really bad. Like, what the heck? That's a lot. Like, imagine seeing that outside of your house. That's disgusting. So it's funny that these people are all environmentalists and stuff like that. Oh my God, the world, we're running out of water, and oh my God, we're taking from the fish. Look, it took 600 gallons per minute, and the fire took 42 minutes to put out. That sounds like a math question. But similar risks exist in electric vehicles, as outlined in a 2016 Tesla Model S Guide to First Responders. So the guide also said 3,000 to 8,000 gallons of water would be required to extinguish a car fire, but Captain Parker Wilburn Fire District said to the Washington Post that required the water would take 30,000 gallons. In the Connecticut fire, the fire department pumped 600 gallons a minute for the entire 42 minutes, and it would have totaled 25,000 gallons. A lithium-ion fire continues until all energy is spent. We're basically fighting energy and energy release. Wilburn's fire department faced a unique situation when a Tesla caught on fire in a scrap yard near Sacramento. The car has been placed in a wrecking yard 3 weeks earlier after a crash, and a spontaneous battery fire required thousands of gallons of water to be pumped into a tractor evacuated pit that firefighters dug for placement of the vehicle. So this is this news story.
Oh, it is a Tesla.
And this is the fire department over here trying to put out the fire. Let's lower this. The fire department over here trying to put out the Tesla that caught on fire. That's really, really bad. That looks like it's totaled. I mean, obviously it is totaled, but even beforehand, the car was wrecked. But that's a lot of water that it's requiring now. But obviously it's out of control, but it takes a lot to fully put out the fire. But I mean, it just keeps going, and obviously it's not going to get any better from there. But all of these battery-powered cars, they have something in common. They're not reliable, okay? They're not reliable. Next story. The fire at PB&E's California Tesla battery facility fully under control now. So this is another battery facility that caught on fire. So, a fire outbreak at PG&E Corp's energy storage facility that uses battery packs made by Tesla Incorporated has been fully controlled. The shelter-in-place advisory on all roads closures has been lifted. The county sheriff's office in the North County Fire Department said the incident, which caused a part of the Highway 1 in California to shut down, came after a year of yet another fire that broke out in a Tesla's Megapack battery unit in Australia during testing of one of the world's biggest energy storage projects. The California facility is one of the biggest utility-owned lithium-ion battery energy storage systems in the world, and the power producer PG&E said the incident has caused no electrical outages for customers, which is crazy to think about because if they have a lot of battery storage and there's a big fire, it's most likely, and it's a big facility, it most likely will take out a power line, but I'm very, very thankful that it didn't. Now, this insider story is going to be talking about line bulk. So one of the biggest obstacles facing popular chains like Starbucks and Chick-fil-A, here's what it is and how they're fighting it. So Starbucks and Chick-fil-A executives have said that long drive-through lines keep customers away. Starbucks does 50% of its sales through drive-through and has plans to open more drive-through only stores. Both chains added several points where customers can order to break up bottlenecks. So drive-thrus are key to business strategies of both Chick-fil-A and Starbucks, but they've become so popular that drive-through lines can pose a problem to the chain's success. Long drive-through lines are one of the number of reasons why people not visiting Starbucks. Chief Marketing Officer Bradley Breuer told investors in Seattle at the company's Investors Day in September 13, potential customers see the long line from the road and decide not to join, or leave from the end of the line before ordering, which is referred to as line bulk. At Starbucks, Breuer said. Chick-fil-A famously deals with the same problem with its long lines, regularly making headlines and frustrating local lawmakers and neighboring business owners. In 2021, exiting CEO Dan Cathy said how much business lines could be causing the chain. We estimate about 30% of the people are driving away because of the lines are too long. Cathy told the Atlanta Business Chronicle. Drive-thrus are the source of massive sales at both chains. Starbucks says about 50% of its sales are through drive-thrus. New locations will cater to customers' desire for drive-thrus even better. The chain says with 90% of new stores having drive-thru service and building new formats including drive-thru only locations. So what are they doing to break down the lines? Starbucks is also continuing to grow its use of handheld ordering devices. Chief Technical Officer Deborah Hale Lafleur said in another Investor Day presentation, workers use tablets to take orders for customers as they wait in line and expedite the process. Analyst and Equality Research founder Mark praised the use of these handheld ordering devices in 2021 as a way to break up the huge bottlenecks of traditional drive-thrus. Chick-fil-A has a similar method for breaking drive-thrus faster and more efficient, like installing double drive-thru lines and having workers take customers' orders on tablets in their cars before they reach the windows. The chain has some of the highest sales per store in the fast food industry and regularly takes the top spot in customer rankings, so competitors have adopted some of its signature strategies like handheld ordering and multiple drive-thru lanes. So kudos to Chick-fil-A. I do enjoy the Chick-fil-A sandwich. I do recommend them. They are really, really good. Even if the line does look long at Chick-fil-A, I can assure you that it's really actually not. But Starbucks is finally upgrading its locations inside airports and Kroger to be more like chain other than cafes. Chains other than cafes. So if you ever went to a location that is Starbucks inside of an airport, you would know that you can't use the call ahead and you can't actually use the point system. Now, this is the same exact situation in Target. You can't use the points if you go use the Target card. You can't use it inside of Target at all. You cannot call ahead. But this is coming to an end because now you are going to be able to call ahead and to use the point system at Starbucks all over the world seamlessly. That's really, really good, and they should have did this from the very beginning. But other than that, that is today's episode. Thank you all for watching, and thank you all for enjoying, and I hope that you have a great rest of your day. Bye. Hey, were you really going to click off this video before leaving a like and subscribing down below? Wow, so rude.